Welcome to the Exit Plan Show. Today's guest is Tim Scott. He's the founder of Wallace Scott Law Firm in Denver, Colorado. Stick around to the end of this interview and we're going to show you how you can subscribe to our newsletter, download some free guides, and maybe win a free book. Thanks for joining us. Thank you to Zarlingo Robb, CPAs and Business Advisors in Wheat Ridge, Colorado, for providing a location for us to film this episode. At Zarlingo Robb, they think like business owners. For more information about Zarlingo Robb, please click their link in our website show notes. Hi, I'm Norman A. Hood, financial advisor and host of the Exit Plan Show. I interview America's top advisors like today's guest, Tim Scott, to help business owners like you enjoy more personal freedom, grow your company faster, and retire someday on your own terms. Tim Scott is with the Wallace Scott Law Firm in Denver, Colorado. His practice areas are estate planning and administration, business and individual taxation planning, exit and succession planning, tax controversy representation, entity formation, and business growth and incentive planning. So welcome to the Exit Plan Show, Tim.
Thank you.
Today we're going to talk about estate planning and the exit planning process. We're going to start out just talking about step 7 of the 7-step exit planning process, which sounds like it should be the last part. But is that true, or should that start maybe ahead of the end?
I think it does start ahead of the end. That's how we take that approach as advisors.
Okay, and then how does, explain that. Why would you start step 7 sooner?
So I'll give you an example of a case study that I'm working on right now where we have an insider buyout where you have some shareholders buying out the majority owners. But the majority owners, we've already been through a lot of this process, kind of just talking about it conceptually, and then just the other day they said to me, I think we might want to have our revocable trusts funded, for example. And I thought, well, I didn't have their estate planning work yet as their lawyer, but I thought that does make a lot of sense. So there's a lot of the individual and personal planning that goes on ahead of time that ties into exit planning. And I think that even though it falls, at the end of the spectrum in the exit planning steps, I think it should be considered and looked at and reviewed right ahead, up front.
Okay, maybe even before they decide to exit.
Indeed.
So it's just back to planning ahead.
Agreed.
Common theme. The last 4 guests I've interviewed just keeps coming back.
Yeah.
You need to plan ahead.
That's right.
And
That's
everyone's had a lot of experience, so it's something probably people should take note of.
No question.
So when you develop an estate plan for someone, what basic preferences should be taken into account?
So we represent clients of all income levels, all sorts of circumstances, and I think that we, now that we're seasoned practitioners, understand the right sorts of things that may lead a client down a certain path on their planning. Do they have just a will and a will package, for example? Do they need revocable trust? Do they need an irrevocable life insurance trust or any sort of advanced planning? So we take a lot of upfront fact-finding. We utilize a lot of that fact-finding time to figure out what makes the most sense to start out with. And then we're very big on giving our clients options. As well as, though, I think a good lawyer and any good advisor, not just an attorney, any good advisor helps steer a client to the right choice. Not just laying out the array of choices, but saying that this one seems to be the best fit. Yeah,
that's good advice. I work a lot with life insurance in estate planning, and one of the things that comes up pretty often from a client is I'll explain to them that they need to set up an irrevocable life insurance trust, and they will say, well, can you just find an attorney and have him do that for me? And I will say no, because you need to sit down with the attorney, and there are a lot of questions that need to be asked in designing that trust. Otherwise, you're going to have something that's not as useful as it would have been.
Well said.
Had you discussed that.
Agreed.
So nice to find it.
Yep.
Attorneys are on that wavelength.
No question.
I work with a lot of business owners, as do many BEI members that we're both aware of, and we often run into situations where you have business active children and you have non-business active children. And I know that's an element of confrontation sometimes. I have a good friend that's a family business consultant. He talks about it all the time. As an estate planning attorney, how do you address that?
I like to sometimes address these types of things in actual case studies. I just came from a meeting yet this morning where there is a business owner, client of mine, whose son is a senior vice president in his business. However, this client of mine has 2 daughters who are not active in the business. And at least the good news right now is all the children get along well. But one of the things we have to plan around in their estate is equalizing the estate, because it's pretty clear that the daughters don't really want any part of the business itself, but they are interested. I would imagine, though we haven't asked them this question, I would imagine that they would be interested in equal and fair treatment, and that's, of course, what my client wants to do. So there's a lot of planning involved in terms of, do we have to, for example, value, kind of put a appraise or some sort of a evaluation methodology in the estate documents for my client, so that the equalization of, say, securities or other assets comes into play, as well as there is some upfront. Your family consultant that you mentioned, we deal a lot with family consultants as well because of the unique issues that maybe we as attorneys aren't situated for. And we're big advocates of ensuring the emotional well-being and the financial well-being of our clients and their children is taken care of. It's a big issue, and it's a good one that you raise.
Yeah, maintaining family harmony. So,
no question.
Yeah, thanks. I think people can get along really well until there's an estate to divide up.
That's for sure.
So, okay, great information. So that wraps that up, and for more information you can see the show notes on our website, and you can also find more information there about Tim, Wallace Scott Law. You can subscribe to our newsletter, you can download some free guides, and you can have an opportunity to win several free books about exit planning. Thanks for joining us.